It's TK Friday, and today in the joy of editing, it's another full edit using the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, the latest version, that is version 3. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to the joy of editing with Dave Cully. It is TK Friday again, and today we're going to be doing another full edit. Today's image comes to us from Alain Blanchette. Thank you for the use of your image, Elaine. Now you can download the image as well as the PDF notes and give this edit a try. It's a great way of learning. If you have an image you'd like me to edit on a TK Friday, go to the description of the video, click on more to open up that description, scroll down to the bottom, you'll find a contact me link. Contact me and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. By the way, there's a special launch sale going on over at Tony Kuiper's web store for TK9 version 3. Now you can save 25% off your entire purchase. That includes the TK9 plugin for Photoshop along with training videos. So please take advantage of that savings. But I have a special favor to ask you. If you'll use my promo code, this is a special launch sale promo code DK25. Add that to your cart at checkout. When you do that, you're going to save that 25% off your entire purchase, but you're also going to be helping me out. I make a small commission when you use that promo code, and this helps me to keep tutorials coming your way, so I thank you for that. While you're over at the web store, check out Sean Bagshaw's 2 new courses on luminosity masking. He has one for basic and one for advanced. They are excellent, and I highly recommend that you pick them up, and you'll save 25% off. Again, please use my promo code DK25. I really appreciate it. And I have links in the description below that'll take you right over to Tony Kuiper's web store. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, as always, I start out right here in Lightroom and just do some basic edits on this image. And as you can see here, here's my edits. I always like to use a linear profile. That gives me a nice flat image going into Photoshop. And I also did a bit of a crop, a 16:9 crop in this image, as you can see. As far as detail, I just have a little bit of sharpening on here. And as far as lens corrections, I always check on remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections, but that's it. And now at this point, I just right click on the image, go to edit in and click on edit in Photoshop 2024. And here we are inside of Photoshop 2024, ready to get started with the latest version of TK9 version 3. I love this new version. It's got great new features. One of those new features is the ability to record button clicks into Photoshop actions to really speed up your workflow. And I will use David Tillett's action that comes with the latest version of TK9 version 3. So you all have it if you purchase TK9 version 3. And that is the balance and contrast landscape adjustment. One click, and we get a color grading tool for the foreground, a color grading tool for the sky, with a midtones 3 mask to protect us from clipping shadows and highlights, all with one click. Now, in the notes, I do have a footnote showing you how to make this if you did not want to use the action, just in case you're interested. I want to cover this real briefly. There's been some issues where people could not find David Tillett's actions. You're going to find them in the TK9 version 3 folder that you received when you purchased TK9 version 3. So look for that folder, open it up, and you're going to find another folder inside here called Documents and Resources. Open that up, and then you will find TK9 example actions. Open that folder up, and what you want for sure is the TK9 blend if actions and the TK9 actions. Install those and you will have the actions. And also, to avoid some confusion, do not run these actions from TK My Actions. In other words, do not take these Photoshop actions and put them into your My Action folders. They will not run. This is a Photoshop thing. This has nothing to do with TK9, and hopefully that'll change in the future. So what you want to do is only run them from your Photoshop actions. And the way you would do that, you would just click on the action and click the play button. But there's an easier way. Come up to the top right of your actions and click on the flyout menu and click on button mode. And now they're in button mode and they can be color coded and so on. And then you just click on the action and it plays. So simple. So I just wanted to point that out. I know there's been a little bit of confusion out there. I don't want anybody to be frustrated because this channel is called The Joy of Editing, and it's so much fun to edit with the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. And now sit back, relax, and let's have some fun editing. Now notice the action sets us up with the foreground layer being the active layer. So now we can click the midtone button, open up those midtones a little bit. I'll just drag this slider to the right, and I will stop at right there, plus 29. Now let's click on the shadow button. I want to darken the shadow, so we'll take the brightness slider and we'll drag this to the left, and we'll take it over to right there, a minus 24. Now let's click on the sky color grading layer and make it active. And now what I want to do with the sky, I want to start out with midtones. I want to darken up the sky just a little bit in the midtones. So I'm going to drag this over to right there, a minus 10. And now I want to give that a slight color grade. And to drop a color grade down, all you have to do, you see your cursor, hover anywhere inside of the color wheel and just click, and you will drop a color grade. See, I can make that sky go pink. I can make it go blue. I'm going to take the number from my notes, the hex number, and I'm going to click this field and type in that number, which is 686E79, and click this button to accept that color grade. This way I'll stay consistent with my original edit that I did the other day. And now we'll click on the highlight button. I just want to tone down some of the light highlights. So I'm going to take this brightness slider and we're going to drag this to the left, and I'll take it to right there, a minus 22. Now, let me click my overall before after button on my combo panel. You'll also find this on the CX panel. Here's before and here's after. So we're off to a really nice start. After the first balance and contrast adjustment, I always like to try a mid-tone contrast just to see if it'll help the image. So what we'll do is we need to get to the multi-mask panel, click the X on the color grading tool. Nothing changes here. We're going to click on the luminosity mask button. And usually I use midtones 3, which is the strongest of the midtones. So we have 1, 2, and 3. They're all midtones, but I'm going to use a weaker one this time. I'm going to use midtones 2 because I don't want this to get too strong. And what we'll do is output this to a curves adjustment layer. So we'll click this button and then come to the presets for the curves adjustment. Click here. This is a drop down. Click on strong contrast. And that adds a beautiful midtone contrast, but I don't want it in the sky. So what we can do is come to our layer mask calculator, click on that, click on sky, and click the minus button. We'll subtract out the sky. Now let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Now it's only in the foreground. Now usually after I add a midtone contrast, I feel the image gets a little dark, so I like to follow that up by a midtone lightening. And to do that, it's very simple. Come back to the multi-mask panel, click on the luminosity mask button. This time, click on midtones 1, the weakest of the midtones. Output that to a curves adjustment layer and click this button on either the combo or the CX panel for screen. That gives us a screen blend mode. Now I'll shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Now I don't want it in the sky. So what we can do is come and click on the layer mask calculator again, click on sky and click minus and we'll subtract it out. Here's before and here's after. And I like it so far. All right, next I'm looking back in here and I'd like to darken up some of the shadows back in here. It'll add a little extra contrast back there and I think that'll be nice. So what we can do is click on the curves adjustment layer button on the multi-mask panel, click the edit blend diff button so we could target dark tones. And I want to target like darks 5. And if we click on this magenta double arrow, we can see the areas that we'll be hitting. Now, I want to tighten that up so we can take this top handle and I'm going to drag it to the left. And I'm going to stop right here. See that number 053 right there. And now all we need to do is click this multiply blend mode button to darken on either the combo or CX panel. And we've darkened the midtones. Now we still see that pink overlay. So let me shut off the magenta overlay by clicking this button again. By the way, you can click that button here or here. It's the same thing. And now we've darkened up those shadows, but it's too dark. So what we're going to do is take the opacity. I like to drag it the whole way off and build it up slowly and stop where I think it looks good. And I think it looks good right here at 60%. So let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Isn't that nice? Now, as I study this image, I'm looking at this fence along here. I think it's too light. It's really drawing the viewer's eye. I'd like to tone that down, and I'm going to show you a new technique here. which will involve the color grading tool. But first, we need to make a selection. I'm going to grab my object selection tool. Right now, I'm in the rectangle mode. I'm going to change this to lasso. And what I'm going to do is just select this piece of the fence here. Now, you could try to select the entire fence at once, but believe me, you'll have issues. So I have that piece of the fence selected. Hold your shift key down, and then we're going to lasso right around here. And now we can select that area of the fence. Hold your shift key down the whole time. We'll lasso around here. We'll lasso right around here. I'm only interested in the light areas, this little piece right here. And again, I'm holding the shift key down the whole time I do this, and we're just going to grab all these guys. And so just keep on going till you get all these light areas selected. And now we need to add a color grading tool. I can't get to my color grading tool because my edit blend if panel is in the way. Just click the X. Nothing will change in your edit blend if layer, and click on your color grading tool button. We have a color grading tool with a mask, only selecting the fence. And now let's click on the midtone button of the color grading tool, and let's darken up that fence. I'll drag the brightness slider to the left, and we'll stop right here at -20. Now, we've darkened the fence, but I don't like that orange color in there. It just doesn't look right. So here is the new technique. If you hold your Option key down and hover over the picker tool, you'll note that we have this note here. To sample the complementary color, hold down Control Windows Command Mac when clicking this button. We can use the complementary color of this to tone it down. Hold down your Command or Control key and click the picker. A color picker comes up, and I want to sample this color right here on the fence. Click and click OK. It's fixed. It's kind of like magic almost, isn't it? If you need it stronger, just hover like right around in this area. You know, just come down this imaginary line and click. It'll be more of a stronger effect, but I think we're good. And now let's take a look. Let me shut this layer off. Here's before and here's after. Isn't that nice? Now, this area right here, the selection tool overshot, but we can fix it. Click on the layer mask to make it active. Click on your black brush tool button. And now, with a nice soft edge brush at 100% opacity, paint off this area right like this. And just like that, we're fixed. Now, let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. If you need to add more, you could use a white brush. In fact, I'm going to grab a white brush and paint right here. It missed this, and it might have missed this right here too. So you can make some slight repairs. Just use a soft edge brush at 100% opacity. Now, with this beautiful fall scene, I have some really nice light hitting some of these warm trees back in here, and I'd like to dodge those areas and bring up their saturation a little bit. I'll use another new technique here, and I will use the Add Color TK action to dodge and add color to these warm tones. Let me show you how. Let's grab an Add Color action. If your TK actions aren't open, click your TK button on either the combo or CX panel, click on Add Color. And what we'll do is we'll sample a color back in here, like right here. And I'm not going to click OK yet because I want to lighten and add saturation. So I'm going to come and click maybe like right about here and click OK. Now you will not see a change on the image because this is something new in TK9 version 3. We now get a black mask whenever you pick a color. So you don't see the effect, but I like that because now we could generate a mask to target these areas. I need to get to the multi-mask panel, so I'll click the X on the color grading tool. Nothing changes here. Now, whenever you want to target a color mask is usually your best option. So we'll click on the color mask button, and I'm going to sample that same color right there. This time I'm not going to change anything because I want to pinpoint that color, and I'll click OK. Now let's refine this a little bit. I'm going to take this bottom handle and drag it to the left just a little bit, just to really tighten this up a little bit. And I'll take the brightness slider and we'll drag it to the right over to right about here. And now this is new to TK9 version 3, the auto levels adjustment. Just double click it and you'll notice my mask gets a little bit lighter. So we're getting pure black to pure white, which will give you a more aggressive mask. And now we need to output this mask. And what we'll do is click on this button right here. This will give us the black mask, but you'll notice we're painting through a selection. And now let's lighten up these warm trees. Right now my opacity is at 20%. I'm going to type my 4 key. That gets me to 40%. And with a nice soft edge brush, we could come in here and paint. You see that? Isn't that beautiful? We can just paint. Now, if you lift your brush, and I always say this, and paint again, you'll add a stronger effect. We're painting through that selection. So I'm just going to find all these little warm trees and just, zing a little bit of beautiful light in here. Nice warm light. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. I'm going to work over in here and I'll get right back to you. And I'm back. Now, this is before the dodging. Now, let me turn this layer on, and here is after. Now, there's something else we can do here. We can double click on this icon for the solid color adjustment layer, and our color picker comes up, and we could come here and change this in real time and see the effect. Darken it, lighten it, whatever. We could change the tint. Now, when I made my initial edit, I had a certain hex number. I'm going to go ahead and type it in here. And that was FFAB6D. So now I have the same color that I had on my initial edit. And I'll click OK. But wait, there's more. And this is a special tip. Right now we're in the soft light blend mode. I can't get this really any lighter than it already is. So what we can do is change our blend mode from soft light to linear light. I'm going to click on the LL button on my combo panel. And now we have this fill set at 15%, but check this out. When you're in linear light, click right here and the little slider comes up. And what we can do is make this lighter by dragging this to the right. You see that? We can make it really strong, but what I want to do is just take it to right here, 21%. Now let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. Isn't that cool? Or in this case, nice warm light. Now as I study the image, we have a nice, beautiful, colorful fall scene, so I'd like to bring up the weaker colors a little bit, and to do that, we could come up to the multi-mask panel and click this button right here for saturation vibrance masks. I want to bring out the saturation on colors that are less saturated, so we want to use vibrance masks. So here's Vibrance 1, it's too wide. Here's Vibrance 2, Vibrance 3, and here is Vibrance 4. 9 times out of 10, it will be Vibrance 4, but you could try Vibrance 5 or 6 and see what you get. But in this case, Vibrance 4. All the light areas are the less saturated colors. And what we'll do is I'll put that to a hue saturation adjustment layer because we want to make a color adjustment. And what I'll do is we're targeting those weak colors. I'll drag this to the right and I'll take it over to right there, 40%. Now look at the image. I'm going to shut this off. Here's before, and now here is after, and that really makes me happy. Okay, I did dodge the warmer trees, but now some of these trees that are not warm, I'd like to dodge some of the highlights in those just to make this image look visually better. I'll come to the combo panel and click on the right side of the dodge tool, which gives me a transparent pixel layer in the overlay blend mode. I want to target light areas, so I'm going to use the aid of blend if. So I'll click on this edit blend if button and I will choose lights 1. And now with a low brush opacity at 20%, I'm going to type my 2 key because right now I'm at 40% and now I'm at 20%. And now with a soft edge brush, I will go ahead and start painting some light on some of these areas. Some of these trees here, I won't get them all, but I'm just looking for the highlights, like right in here and here, over in here. I'll go ahead and finish this up and I'll show you my final result. And I'm back. Now this is before dodging. Now let me turn the dodge layer on and this is after. Isn't that nice? Again, before and after. And I did paint on this tree a little bit, and just to make sure I didn't overshoot it, I'm going to go ahead and click on my layer mask calculator button, click on sky, and subtract the sky from that, just in case I overshot some of these leaves out here. Now, with a nice fall image like this is one that may benefit from a Make It Glow TK action. If your TK actions aren't open, click the TK button on either the combo or CX panel and click Make It Glow. The Gaussian blur comes up, I just click OK. And we add that glow to the color of the image. And what I'll do is click right here, a slider comes up. I'll drag this the whole way off and build it up slowly. And I'm going to stop right here at 30%. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. It's minimal, but I like that little glow in the color. The next thing I want to do is close off the bottom of the image, make it a little darker down here and close off the top in the sky, just to darken the top part of the sky a little bit. We'll start with the foreground. And here's a new feature in TK9 version 3. Hold your shift key down and click the multiply button, and you get a curves adjustment layer with a black mask, hiding the adjustment in a multiply blend mode. I love this new feature. We could go ahead and grab a gradient tool, so click on the gradient tool button. Make sure you have linear gradient clicked on. Make sure you have reverse checked on, and make sure you're using the gradient, not the classic gradient. And you could click the drop down here and open the basics group and click on this button right here. And now we're ready to go. We'll start with the foreground. I'm going to click right here and drag up on the slightest little angle, not much, to right about there. And then we could take this diamond and we can adjust this somewhere to right about here. Looks good. Now it's too strong and we see that line there. If you don't want to see that line, click right here. And I'm going to click right here and take this opacity slider the whole way off and build it up slowly. And I'm going to stop right here at 37%. Now let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. See how that just closes off the bottom of the image. And now for the top, hold your shift key down, click on the multiply button. We have the curves adjustment layer, black mask, multiply blend mode. Click on your gradient tool, and then I'm just going to come right here. I'm going to click and drag down. This time I want this to be straight, so hold your shift key down. You'll constrain that. I'm going to come down to like right about here. And then, of course, we can adjust this diamond to maybe somewhere right about there. I think that looks good. I'm going to click on the curves icon so I don't have to see that line. And now I'm going to click here, drag this the whole way off the opacity and build it up slowly and stop where I think it looks good. And I think right there at 75%. Let me shut this off. Here's before and here's after. I still think I need a basic vignette on this. So if your TK actions aren't open, click your TK button, click the vignette button. That's a basic vignette. Gaussian blur comes up. Just click OK. It defaults at 30% opacity. I want to protect my darkest dark. So my blend diff is already open. I'm just going to click no darks 2. That'll protect my darkest darks. Let me shut this off. Here's before and now here's after. And I like it. 2 more steps and we're done. At this point of the edit, I always like to try the TK Action Color Loom. I'm going to click it. And what we can do here is we can adjust all the luminosity ranges of the colors. For instance, I can make my reds darker or lighter. We can make our yellows lighter or darker, our greens, and also we can work with cyans, blues, and magentas. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and put the numbers in for my notes and I'll get right back to you. And I am back. Now this is before the color luminosity adjustment. And now let me turn this layer on by clicking right here. Here is after. I really like that. These are the numbers I came up with the other day when I was working on the edit. So again, here's the before and here's the after. Now I really like this adjustment. Now, I usually like to try this at the end of an edit, but when it works, it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but if it does, it can be an amazing adjustment. Now, my last adjustment is to add some detail to the foreground, and we need to go into the camera raw filter. Tony changed how we go into the camera raw filter. So right now, what you need to do is click on Cam Raw. When you do, you get a smart object, you stamp all your layers together, and you open up Camera Raw. Now, how cool is that? Now, we need to go into the effects section. If effects isn't open, just click right here. I'll increase the texture. I'll drag this to the right and stop at right there. Plus 37 will give it some clarity. I'll drag this to the right over to right there. Plus 21 and we'll click OK. Now right now we have texture over the entire image and I don't want that. I only want it on the foreground. I'm going to do something a little different here. Right now I need to get to my multi-mask panel. I'll click my X on the Edit Blend Diff panel. Nothing changes on any Edit Blend Diff layers. And what I want to do is see this button right here. Hold your Command or Control key down and click it, and you'll notice we get a depth map. It's the opposite of what I want, but don't worry about that. All we'll do is click right here, Save as Channel in Inverse. Click that. That'll save out a depth map background and a subject or foreground depth map. And now we can apply that depth map to bring detail according to the depth of the image. And to do that, come up to the Combo or CX panel, click your Layer Mask Calculator, click on Subject Foreground, and click Apply. Look at the image. I'm going to shut it off, but mainly look down in this area here. I'm going to shut this off. Here's before and here's after. And now we've applied detail according to the depth of the image. Pretty cool. Now that's the edit. Let's look at an overall before and after. I'm going to click this button on my combo panel to see a before. We started out here and now we end up here. Don't forget, you can download the image and the PDF notes and give the edit a try. Well, there it is, everyone. Another TK Friday comes to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's full edit tutorial. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon. Click all so that you receive all notifications, and then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time, but until then, happy editing.